We're on page 440, and because this topic has been the discussion of the week about what bracha we make on matzot, I realize we discussed Rabbi Yosef, but I don't think we ever discussed actually what we ruled here, la halakha. So, on page 440, let's read this together. Haochel matzah b'shar yemot hashana chutz min haPesach. Somebody who eats matzah on any other day except for Pesach, למנהג הספרדים ועדות המזרח, according to the minhag of the Sfaradim, כל שאינו אוכל ממנה כשיעור קביעות סעודה, anyone who doesn't eat the amount of קביעות סעודה, which we said is 4 eggs or 230 grams, מברך עליה מזונות. The blessing which we recite is מזונות, ועל המחיה, ואינו צריך לטול ידיו על אכילתן, you don't have to wash your hands. ולמנהג האשכנזים, in the custom of the האשכנזים, אף בשאר ימות השנה צריך לטול ידיו על המצה. The whole year they have to wash their hands for מצה, ומברך עליה המוציא וברכת המזון כמו בפסח. Someone told me yesterday that one machine matzah is 150 grams. I don't know if it's accurate or not. If that's the case, you're talking about what, 1.5 matzot. I think that most people in a sitting are eating more than 1.5 matzot, unless you really hate matzah. But if you're making a sandwich out of matzah, if you're making anything else, in that case, you would have to wash your hands anyways, even if you're a Sephardi. So don't think that Sephardi make mizonot on matzah. I see sometimes people at the Seder table or the Pesach table. Oh, matzah does this to me, I don't know, it makes me gain weight, it makes me... And then you see them, they could polish off a whole box of matzot on their own. It's the kind of thing to just keep eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, and they don't stop. That person has to make a hamotzi anyway. It doesn't make a difference. It's Sfaradi Ashkenazi. On page 441, Umikol makom, nonetheless, after the minhag Sephardim, according to the custom of the Sephardim, ra'ui v'nachon latzet yidei safek, it's proper to avoid doubts. V'im ratzah le'echol matzah, and if you want to eat matzah, yitol yadav yivarech tchila al pat mamash. You should go eat real bread. Uvtoch ha'seuda yochal min ha'matzah, and in that meal it should have matzah. Now we've mentioned this before, that this is the chocolate-covered raisin scenario where you don't know what bracha to make on it, so they make a ha'etz on an apple and a shakol on a cup of water, and then they eat the chocolate-covered raisin because they didn't answer the question. I have a book at home. I don't know what it's called. Ochot Maran, it's called. When Rabbi Yosef died, the title they gave him, Maran, Maran, Maran. Today in Israel, when you say Maran, nobody thinks you're talking about Shulchan Aruch. Everyone thinks you're talking about Rabbi Yosef. In this book, Ochot Maran, I believe written by the same author of this book, he said that his father made a mizonot on matzah, and he was particular only to eat it during a meal. And if he ate it out of a meal, he would say mizonot. And he said that at the end of his father's life, there were rumors going around that his father had retracted his opinion. So he approached his father and asked him, and his father said he did not retract his opinion, and he agreed everyone makes mizonot on matzah. I heard from Rabbi Peretz that he heard that Rabbi Yosef retracted his opinion. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not necessarily a student of the Bet Midrash of Rabbi Yosef, so I can't speak for his Bet Midrash. But that's an interesting note to add in here when you think about what he himself did. On page 442, this only applies to dry, crunchy matzah. Aval matzot rakot, but soft matzot. Soft matzot. This year, I felt like a Maccabee. I felt like HaShamayim. I dug through my freezer, and I found at the bottom of my freezer soft matzot I froze from last year. So even though we didn't have a bakery this year like we should have had, half of the flour, the bakery we didn't have, I was still able to enjoy real matzot on Pesach. And it says in parentheses, Kigon matzot yad avot, like the thick handmade matzot, shenahagu Sfaradim le'afot Pesach, which Sfaradim baked before Pesach. In past tense. Past tense. Why we went to crackers. Min ha'raui that Ashkenazim should also have soft matzot. They don't want to, fine, leave them alone. I'm not going to force them. But Sephardim today is all about dancing camels and music and food. So why don't you bring back Sephardic food? You want to talk about Sephardic food? It's not about spicy gefilte fish. Sephardic food. Bring back our real matzot. You don't have anywhere to buy them, so bake your own. We have a matzah bakery. And before Pesach, I teach you how to bake your own. It's not a secret. It's just flour and water. It's a trick. It's hard. Some of you listen to the shiur. Yeah, we tried it. They tried a whole month to bake soft matzot. It didn't work. The truth is, I'm a hero. Why? Because I have a soft matzah bakery. I don't bake the matzot. I have a whole crew, Baruch Hashem, that comes to help with the matzot. That whole crew is an expert in baking soft matzot. But it's something we should revive for all of the idot. Don't be afraid. Soft matzot are a hamotzi. And berkat hamazon, like any other soft bread, like any other thin, soft bread. What bracha do you make on tortillas? Flour tortillas, not corn tortillas, flour tortillas. The mizonot. Why mizonot? Where did you get mizonot from? Think of the criteria. What type of bread is a mizonot? Either it's bread that's filled with sweet things or nuts or honey, or the dough itself is full of spices and honey, or it's thin and crunchy. Which of those three categories is a tortilla? Uvmotzei Chag HaPesach, and after Pesach is over, Kshadayin and Halechem Matzui Klal, the night after Pesach, when there's still no bread out. This is in Israel. In America you have bread the whole Pesach if you wanted. After minhag Sefaradim yesh levar chanei hamotzi. The Sefaradim should still make a hamotzi that night. V'chen mi she'ochel tamid ach v'rak matzah ואינו אוכל לחם אחר כלל, אף למנהג הספרדי מברך עליה המוציא או ברכת המזון, אף בשאר ימות השנה. And somebody who only eats matzah, that's their bread, that's what they eat. They should make hamotzi the whole year. We first started the soft matzah bakery. I spoke to our parents about it. I knew that the haters would come chasing us down. I knew it already then. And he said, Rabbi Yonatan, it's bad enough that we make a hamotzi on these matzot on Pesach. Somebody has to save us from that. Meaning, even on Pesach, the matzot crackers shouldn't be hamotzi. We're playing this game here that certain days of the year, the food is considered bread. It's baked for the intention of bread. So because of that, it's a hamotzi. So one day you bake a bagel to be a cake, and one day you bake a bagel to be bread, and now it changes to bracha. There's a limit to how far we'll be crazy. So the night of Pesach and the night after Pesach, it's already after Pesach, so really should be mezonot. But because there's no bread for sale, it's still like Pesach, and you make a hamotzi. The next morning, though, the matzah became a mezonot. It had transformation in the middle of the night, sitting on your kitchen counter. It makes sense to somebody? You could solve this entire problem if you ate real matzot. And then the other matzot that everyone else is eating, you just call them what they are, crackers. The Torah says, ugot matzot, matzah cakes. Like, how thick can a matzah be? Our matzot are very thin. When we make matzot here at Shiviti, we make it thin. They're like tortillas, mamash, thin tortillas. The Sephardim before it made thick ones, like lafas. You go by the Arabs, lafas, like that, pita. How thick can a matzah be? There's a halakha, how thick a matzah can be. Chachamim write, it can be up to a tefach. What is a tefach? 4 fingers, not a thumb, 4 fingers. 8 centimeters? Imagine how much money you could make selling those kind of matzot for Pesach. I don't know what it'll taste like, just flour and water. But it's kasher lePesach. The Talmud talks about what happens if your matzah and your bread get mixed together. You don't know which one is matzah, which one is chametz. How could it be? You can't tell your Manischewitz cracker apart from your marshmallow, chocolate chip, cinnamon, raisin, challah. You can't tell the difference. The difference is that they look the same. A lafa and a kasher lePesach lafa look the same. What do you do on Pesach? Which one can you eat? How many were there? There's a limit to how much we can distort Judaism. And then we'll start answering questions that only come up because we've distorted Judaism. I heard once a rabbi give a shiur. Why all the brachot we make a blessing before we do the mitzvah, except for when a person goes to the mikveh, and when a lady lights Shabbat candles, and when a person washes their hands for bread. And you should hear the fantastical things that came out of this person's mouth. Why these three mitzvot are different, there's an essence that's different, there's a this and that, and Kabbalah with the hands and the shefa. And why don't you just admit to the fact that we always made brachot first? And along the evolution of Judaism, there are certain people who decided that we should evolve Judaism better than our Chachamim. When Chachamim write, Kol ha-mitzvot kulan, all of the mitzvot, mevarech alehen over nasiyatan, you recite a blessing about them over, before you do the mitzvah. Kol ha-mitzvot kulan, all of the mitzvot, all of them. Chachamim should have written except for. How many times Chachamim write this? I found in the Talmud 5 times. 5 times. Kol ha-mitzvot kulan mevarech alehen over nasiyatan. Except for these 3. There's one place where we make a bracha. Afterwards, we don't have a choice. When a ger tzedek goes to the mikveh and becomes Jewish, so before he or she goes into the mikveh, they can't say Asher kiddishanu tzedavit tivanu, that you commanded us to go to the mikveh. Why? Right now, I'm not Jewish. So they can only recite the baracha afterwards. Fine. But that's the only exception. If there was another exception, Chachamim would have mentioned it. So now we do things backwards, and we have to explain. We don't eat real matzot, so we have to explain why matzot are some days mizonot, some days hamotzi. How long we're going to do this, I can't tell you. I don't know. And what happens now when you tell people the truth? All of a sudden, you become controversial. Last week, I spoke with our parents. We talked about this. Exactly this topic. Not about this example, but about this topic. And he's my rabbi. I know my parents are listening. I try not to give them ugmat nefesh. I try not to cause them suffering or grief. It's not easy to be us here. Those of you who are part of this Kehillat, it's not easy to be you here. Here doesn't make it so easy. It doesn't make it so conducive. I got an email today from somebody not in this country who wanted to know how they could follow a certain halakha in Yehi Shalom, in my book, without being ostracized by the local community. I made a video once. It's not the Spanish Inquisition. You're not living anymore in 1492. Who's hunting you down in the streets for following halakha? And the answer is, instead of the inquisitors, it's the Jewish inquisitors. You want to follow the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch, so today they'll persecute you in the streets. Rabbi Peretz gave a shiur about the laws of Giyur last week, laws of conversion to Judaism. And he showed how Chachamei Sfarad ruled about the laws of Giyur, and the way they screamed at him, and the way they spoke to him. So you would think that I was inventing something. You would think that I'm fabricating some halachot. He said it's written here in the Shulchan Aruch. It's written in the Rambam. What are you going to do? Erase the Torah? And then when you try to teach what it says in the Torah, the community has other ways to deal with you. And with your friends, and with your family, and with your students. You have an obligation. היבדלו מתוך העדה הרעה הזאת. I'm speaking things I shouldn't say. You have an obligation to separate yourself from evil people. That's a chiyuv. Separate yourself from bad people. Someone's trying to observe Torah mitzvot. Someone's working to grow in HaShamayim. And they go somewhere, and someone throws a bucket of cold water in their face. Oh, you know the Torah you're learning? It's worth nothing. You know the rabbi you're learning from? The Rebbetzin you're learning? It's nothing. How many times do we hear people say, I'm inspired by this rabbi? I have what to say. I don't want to say anything. Why? You're trying. You're growing. You're accomplishing things. Wait, it's always be right. You can let a person grow. A person grows, you hope they'll mature enough to find the right path, like a child. We had a situation once here in San Diego. Now the story has passed. It's already been a while. There's a young girl from our Kehillat who went to a play at school, whatever it was. They asked her to dress up like a Jewish mother or something. I don't remember the details of the story. And so she came with a mitpachat on, a scarf on her head. She looked like her mother, like a royal person. And one of the Judaics teachers in the school said, please take off the scarf right now. I said, why? I want to be like my mother. A young girl, a single girl, is not allowed to cover her hair. It's a small girl, it's a small kid, not bar mitzvah, less than that. But I want to be like, she's crying. Take it off and we're not going to let you perform. They made her take it off. Single girls cannot cover their hair. I get a phone call from the mother of this girl. What would you have done? I says, I'm not in charge. I can't tell you what I would do. Is it true that single girls cannot cover their hair? Of course it's not true. But you know me and my stance. I don't tell anybody what to do with their clothing or with their hair or with anything. I never have. I don't plan on starting to. But someone's asking me. So I'm sharing with them what they asked me. I said, what do you mean? Can't cover her hair in a Jewish school? Of course she can cover her hair. In fact, Sephardic communities around the world, young girls who were single covered their hair. Not even a day later, I was called in for a meeting with the principal of the school. He should live and be well. He was an honest person and dealt with me honestly and fairly. He said, there are rumors going around the community that in your synagogue you force single girls to cover their hair. Is that true? Even the girls that come to the kids program, you make them cover their hair? I'm sitting in my chair and I asked myself, in my Kehillat? You never been to my Kehillat. We never told a person who's walked through the door how to dress. There are people that come to Beit HaKnesset with a kippah on their head. We don't tell them anything. Never in our life have we told someone something. But I'm not telling him that. I'm thinking in my head, where did they get to reach this conclusion that I make single girls cover their hair? So where do we? Oh, because I told the mother that Sephardic communities around the world had a minhag that single girls cover their hair. So I asked the rabbi, I said, dear rabbi, there's a famous machloket, Rambam and Maran, whether or not one has to wear a kippah. Listen carefully. Rambam writes about wearing a kippah only in the laws of Talmidei Chachamim. The Talmidei Chachamim have to cover their hair. I know the Charonim who bend over backwards to mention there's a special head covering Talmidei Chachamim wear, and regular people have to wear a lower head covering. The Rambam doesn't mention that. In the laws of how Talmidei Chachamim dress, the Rambam mentions Talmidei Chachamim have to wear a head covering. Maran writes, Lo yilech adam b'giluy harosh, meaning, we've discussed it before. Lo yilech is not exactly you have to wear a head covering, that a person has to wear a head covering. Maran repeats himself that by mentioning HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name that one must wear a head covering. Maran does not differentiate between men and women. According to the Rambam, you can say a blessing without, you don't have to wear a head covering. You're sitting at home, you want to say Birkat Hamazon, you don't need a kippah. That's the reason why a woman doesn't have to wear kippah when she does her name. According to Maran, a literal reading of Maran, when a woman says Birkat Hamazon, she lights Shabbat candles. This minhag that a lady puts a doily on her hair? I don't know what it counts for in terms of kisui rosh. But in terms of covering one's head for a bracha, of course she has to cover her head for a bracha. Only reform and conservative women wear kippot. So they follow Shulchan Aruch and you don't. According to Maran, anyone who makes a bracha, recites Hashem's name, prays, has to wear a head covering. So how do we do this where we say that women don't wear a head covering? Because we're relying on the Rambam. That's about Rambam. So according to the Rambam, even a man doesn't have to wear a head covering. That's the reason we don't scream at anybody when they come in without a kippah on. The same reason we don't tell women anything either. I'm not a HaKadosh Baruch Hu's police enforcer. I'm sitting here and I'm speaking to a Judaic staff who has no idea about the conversation with Rambam and Maran. I'm asking myself a bigger question. Go teach something else. Go be the art teacher. I don't want to embarrass art. I don't know. Go be something else. Go clean the school restroom. Why do you purport to be a teacher of Judaism and you don't know Judaism? Well, I have to come and give you a lesson. In basic decency, you don't tell your student to take off something, you don't embarrass her in front of her classmate. That's basic decency. Now, you don't need to be a teacher to know that. A student wants to grow to be like her mother. That's the most beautiful thing you can have in your class. Not to speak rumors about other rabbis in the community. That's an even more wonderful thing. Every Jew should know. But that you purport to teach Judaism and you're not familiar with a basic halachic conversation that has been in the Jewish community for hundreds of years. Where have we reached? And now when you mention that it's okay, there's minhag. So your minhag not to eat garbanzo beans on Pesach is so important. But my minhag, which is recorded as a law in the Shulchan Aruch, it's not important. Hibadelu mitoch ha'edah hara'ah hazot. Separate yourselves. Don't be afraid. Say, I can only stay with people, they don't have to be like me. I can only stay with people who have values of Torah mitzvot. What do I mean? People who care about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They don't have to be observant like you. I don't care about that. People who are willing to let you be. People who are willing to let you observe halakha the way that we're supposed to observe halakha. And do you know how many times we have people whose non-observant family members accommodate them above and beyond when it comes to Shabbat, when it comes to kashrut? They go out of their way to make their religious family members feel comfortable. These people are tzaddikim. They say, I don't observe Shabbat, but I want you to be able to observe Shabbat. I want you to be able to come to my house for Shabbat. I want you to be able to eat in my home. Those people are tzaddikim. And then you have the religious family members of those people. Oh, I don't trust your kashrut. I don't trust your this. Your wife doesn't do this. They became police officers. So who makes the problems? Those who you consider tzaddikim are the edah hara'ah, the evil congregation. And those people that other people call reshaim, those are our brothers and sisters who go out of their way to accommodate us and the way in which we connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Maybe sometimes we should give them credit for it as well.